The Veloso family got their Christmas wish this year after the Indonesian government decided to return the former OFW back to her home country. Let's go back to her tragic past and see how she persevered for 14 years in this report.
Mary Jane Veloso is just one of the heartbreaking stories of OFWs who have to leave their family and work abroad in hopes of providing a better future for them. In 2010, the 25-year-old Filipina left the Philippines to work in Malaysia. She was with her god-sister and recruiter Tintin Serio when they were informed that the job for them was suddenly unavailable. Serio sent Veloso to Indonesia and gave her a bag with 2.6 kilograms of heroin. Veloso claimed no knowledge of the illegal drugs in the bag. On April 25, 2010, Veloso was arrested at Odi Sucipto International Airport in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. On October 11th of the same year, the court in Indonesia sentenced Veloso with death penalty. Veloso's case reached the Indonesian Supreme Court, but unfortunately, the decision was not reversed. Then President Noynoy Aquino asked former Indonesian President Susilo Yudhoyono for a clemency for Veloso, but the latter only imposed a moratorium on executions. When President Joko Widodo took the Indonesian office, he rejected all requests for clemency for convicts sentenced to death, including Veloso. On April 24, 2015, Veloso was transferred to Nasakumbangan Island for her scheduled execution by firing squad. Aquino reportedly had a quick meeting with Widodo at the ASEAN conference in Malaysia on April 28th. He convinced Widodo that Veloso can be used as a witness to help Indonesia uncover the drug syndicate in their country. On the same day, Serio surrendered to authorities after receiving death threats. On April 29, Veloso was saved on the 11th hour and execution was postponed. But in 2016, hopes for Mary Jane seemed to fade away when then President Rodrigo Duterte gave the Indonesian government the green light to proceed with Veloso's death penalty. Fast forward to this year, President Bongbong Marcos announced that Veloso will return to the country after forming an agreement with Indonesia. And come December 18, 2024, the 40-year-old Filipina who was allegedly a victim of drug syndicates is back in the Philippines.
Napakasaya ko! Nakauwi na ako dito sa bansa natin.
Veloso spent 14 years in an Indonesian prison. She eventually became fluent in Bahasa Indonesia. The babies she left are now in their teens. Despite experiencing hardship and frustration and narrowly escaping death, Veloso keeps optimistic about her future.
Si Mary Jane, may apo na, di ba?
Oo.
Pero it's to
dun sa
note
pangalan
na
niya.
yung phone calls ni President Benigno Aquino who broke protocol
Oo,
to
pinag-uusapan
save.
na natin yan dito.
Alam mo,
Broke, diplomatic protocol, that's what the term is.
actually, si Mary Jane Veloso was already binihis na siya for her execution. Kasi
11th hour.
yung execution nila, meron silang uniform na sinusuot and they already changed her to that in preparation for the firing squad. And they were, I think they moved her already to the holding cell before they transfer her to the firing squad. But because of the successful calls of the late President Aquino to the foreign minister of Indonesia, na-convince nila na wait lang, if you
We
don't
need her.
if you don't allow us to get testimony from Mary Jane Veloso and stay the execution, baka the bigger fish mawala sa atin. Yun ang magiging problema. So si Joko Widodo, who is a known hardliner against drugs and very stern, wala siyang leeway with regards to drug traffickers and drug pushers. He gave in to that because nakita niya na may bigger fish.
Oo. Ayun nga yung sinasabi nilang diplomatic protocol na na-break ni the late Pinoy Aquino. Ang tawag dito kasi he was supposed to be dealing dapat lang yung kanyang counterpart,
Joko
which is
Widodo.
the president. Pero yun nga, tinawagan niya yung foreign affairs minister at sinabi nga nung minister na to, sige, i-relay ko to agad. So yun, dun na stop itong execution sa kanya. Sabi nga din, di ba, 11 hours before na dapat siya ay mabitay, natawagan nga nito ni President Noynoy Aquino at that time. So fast forward nga, Ngayon, after 14 years, nandito na siya ngayon ulit sa Pilipinas.
Laki ng mga anak niya.
Ang laki na ng mga anak niya. And then, of course, during our reports here, di ba, for the last couple of days, sinasabi natin that she will undergo a 5-day quarantine.
Yes.
After nun, which will fall under December 24, ay po pwede siyang makasama ng pamilya niya on Christmas Eve. Diba? And then until then, it's going to be a waiting and guessing game. Bakit? Bakit?
Nakasama niya yung pamilya niya kagabi.
Yes, sa kagabi, 'di ba? It will be a waiting and guessing game dahil nga doon sa kanilang hinihingi na clemency from President Bongbong Marcos.
Oo, pero alam mo yung based sa mga naririnig nating balita, President Bongbong Marcos so far left it up to the Board of Paroles, and he used the word it's up to yung mga legal people. Kasi if you use the word legal, then parang clemency might be off the table. Baka dadaanin sa good conduct time allowance or parole in deference to Indonesia, parang in respect to them. Kasi ang clemency or absolute pardon, that's an act of compassion.
Yes.
Hindi naman
and ano yan, executive branch ang gagawa niyan, which is the president.
Kasi po when you say clemency or absolute pardon, it's walang legal justification dyan. It's just that humanitarian concerns, matanda na, may sakit, he served this time, or may mitigating circumstances yung crime niya, things like that. Pero yung word na legal means, so far, baka may nakikita silang behavior on Mary Jane's part who has shown na she has learned a lot.
Marunong mag-gitara,
marunong mag-piano, marunong gumawa ng t-shirt.
So, kumbaga kasi dalawa yan. Clemency mula sa presidente or yung GCTA.
GCTA.
Diba? Pero yung GCTA kasi will go through a lot of process. So, it will take time. Siguro few more months.
And there's no rush naman. I mean, let's take one step at a time because at least...
Nararating lang naman
niya dito eh. She's no longer, she's no longer in the gallows.
Yes.
Isipin mo, for the last 14 years, you're living in the gallows, meaning hindi mo alam...
Everyday, gigising ka, bibitayin ba ako ngayon?
Hindi.
Ba,
kasi...
ng kapalaran ko
usually
bukas?
kasi ang practice nila sa death penalty, they tell you the last minute. And then they prep you, they give you your clothes, last meal, transfer you to your cell. So ang hirap niyan. Grabe, I couldn't
So for now, sinasabi nila wala naman daw hinihinging kapalit ang Indonesian government sa pagbibigay nila back here kay Mary Jane Veloso.
Si PBBM mismo nang sabi, wala naman hinihingi.
Pero in case daw in the future na merong parang similar case na ganito.
We remember their good deeds.
Oo, 'di ba yung reciprocal deal, 'di ba, in the future.
Kumbaga, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Kaya nga 'di ba yung iba.
We gave you a prisoner, you give us back one in the future.
In the future. Pero yun nga sinasabi doon ng iba, hindi daw nila maiwasan mapagkumpara itong sitwasyon ni Mary Jane Veloso doon sa Bali 9 na napauwi sa sa Australia. Itong Bali 9 na to, yun yung mga nag-smuggle ng heroin 20 years ago. 20 years na sila nag-spend ng time nila dyan sa Indonesia na nakakulong sila. Pero pagdating nila sa Australia, kulang na sila iba kasi namatay sa cancer, iba pinatay. Pagbalik nila sa Australia, free men na sila, ika nga. Pero there will be few more reintegration ng buhay nila sa Australia. But it's totally different from Mary Jane Veloso. Where Mary Jane Veloso, pagdating niya dito, diba, ay diretso nga siya sa correctional institution for women.
If you look back at the timeline of the confluence of events and critical turning points in the case of Mary Jane Veloso, of course, the first break came when Pinoy the late Pinoy, was able to secure yung 11th hour stay of execution. The second turning point, I think, would be the most recent one was the elections sa Indonesia, which saw a president who was more liberal, who was more compassionate, and meron siyang program to be a little less like
Kaya nga, diba,
Joko Widodo, who was a hardliner. Kasi para context lang sa tao, si Joko Widodo is likened to President Rodrigo Duterte. They have the same stance against crime and drugs.
Kaya diba sinasabi nila dito, itong nangyari na to ay talaga ang nag-reach out ay yung Indonesian government dahil nga meron silang policy na gusto nilang ipatupad, diba? Yung mga prisoners nila na matagal na doon for a long time, kung meron naman silang magandang pag-uugali during their stay there, ay pwede nilang maibalik doon sa country of origin.
Buti na lang, even nag-green light si President Rodrigo Duterte to execute Mary Jane, the government did not execute her right away. So we would not be sitting here if that happens. So, thank the Lord
Pero
na lang.
yun na nga, itong story ni Mary Jane talaga would...
Lesson. It's a lesson
it's
to
a
everyone.
lesson for everyone. Actually, sinabi nga nung kapatid ni Mary Jane Veloso, sinabi daw ni Mary Jane na wala na mag-a-abroad. Dito natin iraraos ang buhay natin.
Lesson 1 for the government. Find more opportunities for our kababayans here in our home nation. Lesson for other people there, make sure every time you leave your family, be sure you've secured your life muna and check your belongings
Totoo.
bago iladaan sa airport.
Huwag maniniwala sa mga illegal recruiters.
Oo.
Yung mga illegal recruiters, yan, may mga araw din kayo.